Velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one, the only, just David. And really, I should say, we are also joined by, well, they're not here, but they're back at our lives, Miss Kyle Richards, Dorit Kemsley, Sutton Strack, Erica Jane, Crystal Kung, Minkoff, can't even speak today. Hello, and Marie Wiley. We are back. Garcelle Bouvet, we are back. We are back. We are back. Beverly Hills is back in our lives. You guys have mixed reactions to this. Welcome back, diamond holders. But first, as my good friend Julie Chen says, before we get there, let's just wrap up and deal with and cover a little bit of RHONJ business. And then I do want to talk all about RHOBH. Let's break it all down. Woo, we have a lot going on. Dorit and PK headlines. Oh my gosh, where do we begin? Okay, here's what I want to do with RHONJ. I think everyone knows, but if you don't, the cast trip was canceled. We are wrapping up filming. It is wrapping up this month, maybe right into November, but season's over, guys. This is it. I mean, this is it. So what have we heard? What is leaked? Again, I've said this before, not to sound like a broken record. Bravo is probably thrilled that there's no Teresa versus Melissa. I don't think they're going to speak. Teresa's gone on record of saying she does not want a big smackdown with Melissa on camera. It's all about the reunion. We are going to watch an entire, well, a lot of you are not going to watch, according to you guys. We're going to watch an entire season of RHONJ. There'll be no interaction between Teresa. There'll be no interaction between Melissa. In what world could this exist? And what other franchise is that just going to be allowed? I mean, could you imagine in Beverly Hills if, like, I don't know, if Kathy were to come back, which is not going to happen, and her and Kyle are just not going to speak all season, it would never be allowed. Man, Teresa, she gets away with everything, guys, but the cast trip is canceled. It's not happening. There were a lot of rumors. I think most of you know by now, but for everyone that doesn't know, Andy has gone on record of explaining, and I heard this rumor, and I didn't really believe it. I didn't want to put it out there. I heard this rumor that it was because of a fire. I'm like, is that really true? Well, according to Andy Cohen, it is true. So it's not because this season was boring. That's out there, that the cast trip is canceled because this season was boring, which, if you really think about it, almost doesn't make sense. I mean, the cast trip is canceled because the season is boring, so why even have a cast trip? I mean, one could argue, let's have the damn cast trip and maybe something will happen and we can salvage this whole season. Let's not forget, Aspen and Beverly Hills came all the way at the end of that season. So I agree. I don't think this is like a fake narrative. It's because of a fire. They confirmed that they were not going to, Andy confirmed they were not going to stay at Dorinda's, which I knew that as well. Dorinda was going to make an appearance. They were supposed to go to the Berkshires for their final cast trip, and it's canceled because the place that they were going to stay burnt down. Now, I do have a little bit of an issue. I mean, this is TV. It is hurry up and wait. That's how production works. You hear nothing. Like when you get chosen for Housewives, you hear nothing. When you get chosen for Survivor, Amazing Race, Big Brother, you're told, like, hey, we're calling you now. It's Friday at 3:00 and you have to leave on Sunday morning. If you don't want to leave and go off to the island, pack all your stuff, or you don't want to go lock away into the Big Brother house, we'll find someone else. So I don't really understand this excuse from that point of view. I mean, the house they were going to stay in burnt down in the Berkshires. They were going to make an appearance. Dorinda was going to make an appearance. I understand Andy says it's a completely different show, which I agree. We're not going to have the New Jersey women staying at Bluestone Manor. That's strange. This isn't Girls Trip. It's not a RHONY show. So I agree with that. What I don't understand is, you mean to tell me there is not one other house in all of the Berkshires where these women could stay? Now, if nothing else is on the market, which I highly doubt, I've had filmings in apartments that I've owned before, not anything having to do with Bravo. Let's not even get into that. It's a whole nother conversation. But whether you are available or not, I mean, I used to get calls. I was registered with an agency, of like, I had a nice space. So people would call me and say, do you want to be out of your house tomorrow? Well, no, I don't. And then they would say, here's the dollar figure. And I would say, well, I'm getting out of my house tomorrow. So whether there was anything on the market or not, I guarantee you, if you went door knocking, like my good friend Rose and Jarvis do over on Selling VOC, you could have found a house in the Berkshires where you could have filmed or had these women stay last minute. Okay. 100,000. No. So eventually there would be a price that was somewhat reasonable to an owner that they would have gotten out, and this all would have worked out. So I understand. I do believe the house burned down, that the girls were supposed to stay. I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle, right? I don't think it's because it was a boring season. I do believe the house burnt down. I just think you could have found someplace else if you really, really wanted to film. But regardless, is that really even the issue? The cast trip, guys, it is off. We're not having a second cast trip on New Jersey. Does anyone care? Is this going to be a boring season? What have we really heard? I mean, Marge and Jackie and the book, and we have some newbies floating around, and Cabral and Aiden. Doesn't sound like so much is really happening. Again, I'm waiting for that Kathy Hilton, Aspen, meltdown in the sprinter, Lisa Rinna. I want something major to break. Erica and Tom, we knew what was coming that season. We knew it was coming with Aspen. And even in Jersey, when we have these things of Melissa and Teresa, we haven't heard anything like that. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a very strange RHONJ season coming up. I really do. Cast trip is off. That is that. Let's move on. I want to talk about my good friend, Messy G. Again, it's a term of endearment. I'm going to go trademark Messy D. Call me Messy D. I don't care. Messy G and Josephina. Now, look, I just want to follow up quickly. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this. Somebody I know was getting texts from Melissa about this whole, Tom PR boy that surfaced last week. We talked about it on last week's show. There are videos on YouTube last week about it. We don't need to rehash this. It's so funny because when I posted all this last week, I said, her and her PR parted ways. Everyone else went with this fired story. And I said to myself, like, even if he's not with her, how do we know this guy was fired? I mean, the guy does have a backbone of some sorts, I imagine. I mean, people do quit jobs every day. So I think fired versus, left on your own, I think that's a fine line. But Melissa was texting somebody that I know. And of course, I got the text. Now, I don't need to read them exactly. Let's not out anyone here. I don't really, because I don't got no time to ask permission if I could share this on air. So to protect this person. But the bottom line is in these texts, and Melissa was saying, and she even said this, I believe, on her own Instagram or her own podcast. I don't know, somewhere I think she put this